put an
Nice.
hour and a half out. So then I'm like, I take 45 minutes to start now. So I gotta make it a smaller block. Are we starting now?
Yeah, this is good though. Keep telling us your social media secret strategies.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it for the people who are early. So here's exactly what I do. Here's exactly what I had done to get 120,000 followers and a million followers, both in a span of 2 months. It took about 2 months to get to the million on TikTok, and it took about 30 days to get to the 120,000 on Instagram. Though I've been doing content for about 5 years, so that's why I'm able to speak on it in such a way. But social media is so important because imagine, Andrew, imagine we didn't have social media and we wanted to teach someone about communication, for example. We'd have to go either, okay, newspaper, TV, that process, or we'd have to talk person to person to person to person to be able to teach that type of stuff, or get enough people in a room to speak about it. But nowadays, for example, on my Instagram, it's crazy. 2 million people got to see the lesson of how to speak to people. And all it took was, well, I got my whole setup right here. It's kind of crazy what's going on, but just one camera, camera, small little mic. I recorded myself, sent it to one of my editors. I could edit it myself, but sent it. I didn't want to spend that time. Sent it to one of my editors. He edits it in about an hour, sends it over. I post it, a million views.
How cool is that? You literally in that place right there spoke to 2 million people and gave them strategies that will change their life, their business, their relationships, their friendships. Like that is so cool, man. Think
Yeah,
about the
personal
opportunity
branding
that's
and
in front of us.
yeah, social media and branding is so important to really grasp. And I would have said this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I would have said anyone who's not making content needs to start making content. If you're thinking that I'm not going to put myself out there, 2 years ago, I would have said you got to get out of that mindset. It's almost coming to the point, and I never thought I would say that it's almost too late to jump into the social media game. But here's the thing, for the people that are early here, that's why I always want to give some of the game earlier, because people who come in 5 minutes later, they're never going to know unless they watch the recording. Or if you come to the Truca event, I'm basically going to be helping you guys build your brand. So if you haven't gotten your Truca tickets yet, first of all, say I in the chat if you've already got your tickets, if you're already coming to the Truca event. I just want to know. But those people, they're going to learn how to build their social media brand. For myself, who's gone over 1 billion views and who can take you and structure you as a brand so you can start reaching hundreds of thousands of people. If you wanted to put that into your real estate company, how many more sellers can you find if you are that professional in your market and they're starting to see you everywhere? You're on the phones with them. And now when they talk to you, it's like, oh, is this hey, this Timothy Pearson? Is this Timothy Pearson? I've seen you all over social media. I've seen your videos. Of course I'll sell my house. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of energy I want you guys to be on and realize the opportunity that we have in front of us to be able to reach millions and millions and millions and millions of people for free. Crazy. So
It's
again,
amazing.
we're just starting the first 5 minutes of a lot of extra sauce because some people are just late and you gotta come early to get the sauce.
This is amazing. I think it's so impactful and it's that unrealized gains. It's that unrealized momentum. You go to the gym, Leo, when you first got me in the gym a couple years back, the first 3 days, I didn't see no change. First week, I didn't see no change. I look in the mirror, I seen the same thing. But as that momentum builds, and that's what you're talking about with being willing to make your presence known, it's so powerful because then in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, there's a huge impact been made. Makes everything easier to sell, makes everything more fun, and it already pre-warms up. It's like you guys, some of you we've never yet met, yet you're sitting there, you know us, you feel like we've become family friends because we've been sitting together for the last 36 days hanging out right here on the screen. And so just realize that of the power that's through that connection. We have some really special things we're going to get into today. But Leo, did you have something you want to add before we start delving into some goodies and get this energy up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, this always works when you want to get your energy up. Everybody wants to get their energy up, right? And it allows you to focus more. It allows you to feel better. It allows you to be more charismatic. Allows you to close more deals. I have a standing desk, guys. So I don't know if you guys noticed. I kind of move from here to here because I'm never sitting down. I'm always moving. That's why my energy is always up. I would recommend getting a standing desk. But which I see Mike. Oh, there you go, Mike. Mike has the automatic. I'm not there yet. I have the one where I have to automatically do the manual shabam. But anyways, guys, stand up. And everyone right now, just I promise you, this works. This works. Stand up for a moment. If you can just stand up, all right, stand up and just move it around. Move the blood rolling, get the blood rolling. Feel really good about yourself. Yeah, the Beverly's doing the dance, do all the things. Get up, you know, and move your body around. I only see like 10 of you actually doing it, but it's okay because guess what? Those are the people that are going to win more. Those are the people who are going to feel better and be in a position. All I can see is Timothy's stomach, but it's okay. Let's keep it rocking. Go ahead, Andrew.
That's funny. I think it's so powerful. It's so easy for us to get in a mind funk. And here we are, day 36 of
Hold on.
60.
Ominika,
Yeah.
Ominika says this is definitely pre-recorded. This is live. And I just said your
This is
name, and I don't know what your name means, but it's beautiful. But anyways, this is live. Keep going, Andrew.
this is live. Yes, it is. Can't deny that. So come on in, everybody. Welcome. Excited to have each of you on today and see each of you coming in. And I see Christy just got done weed eating. Andrew says, "You see me?" Yes, I do, brother. So, by the way, you got a good name, one of my favorites. So, keep it coming. Keep the energy up. What's your energy level? 1 out of 10. What's your energy level?
10.
We're going to get to some 10. We like 10. Good. Nine's 8.7, 9, 10, 8.5, 9. We got a lot of high energy people in here today. Keep it coming. Heck yeah. Leo, this is a whole lot more high energy than we got on the first few days. We had a lot of ones, twos, threes, and fours back then, if I remember.
Yeah, people are just developing the ability to keep a higher energy. If you drink more water, if you honestly, if you just do the things that they probably did a long time ago, just eating good whole foods, drinking enough water, connecting with loved ones, you probably have a lot more energy. That's what it's supposed to be. So I'm glad everyone's actually
Absolutely.
showing up.
100%. All right, we're going to delve in. I want to share with you two key strategies to get the freaking money. So put it in the chat for me, GTFM. I want you to get the freaking money. There is something very important to be said. I want you to know this, and this is so vital. There's people here, you're here on day 36 with us. There's people here who are brand new here, and you just started hanging out with us. So, regardless of which end of the spectrum you're on, it's very important to me that you understand this mindset because we do something here where we take action. You can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. Now, while I'm okay with us admitting that some days, perhaps you didn't sleep as well last night as you hoped, or your energy is a little lower than you normally like. There's nothing wrong with admitting that, hey, I did have a struggling night, or did have a low energy day. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. Nothing wrong with admitting, hey, I had a string of 50 calls and 49 of the sellers cussed me out. And I felt like for the 10 or 15 minutes that this business sucks. But that's okay to let that sit for about 4 seconds. And then we got to get back to it. Go, all right, cool. Back to work, back on my game. And so we have to make sure we keep that strong mentality, which is why we're here together, because there's plenty of days that business and getting money, acquiring assets is not convenient. But in order to do it, we must do the things that aren't convenient. When we launched into the 60 days to deals, we knew that we was going to continue to be traveling and that some days may not be the most convenient, but we said, you know what, we're going to show up for our people and you showed up for us and we just win together. And so I really want, well, I want to reframe that. I want you showing up for you. Changes everything. So keep showing up, keep doing the thing, and continue the interactions, continue the actions you know lead you to the desired result. So, number one, we're going to be talking about getting the freaking money. We're going to be talking about how to turn deals to cash. I'm going to be answering your questions later today. And I know we've had several come in since we've talked about the upcoming Truca event live in Louisville. So I'm going to remind everyone who's here who hasn't yet got their tickets to grab those before they're gone. And for those of you who haven't heard yet, I'm going to spend a couple minutes sharing how to make that happen. So, Paul, please make sure we have that link ready to go with the discount code as well. So, how do we get the freaking money? Well, of course, for those of you who've been here, we have to get creative. You've been here, you know we buy houses on terms. That's the whole business model, is buying houses almost 80% of the time on creative financing, buying the house, owner financing, subject twos, debt takeovers, whatever that means. We're essentially accepting the ownership of the property and writing a check every month until we pay it off in full at an agreed time in the future. So fast forwarding, when it comes to getting the money, this is important because some of you are in a position where you need to turn some cash sooner than later. And I remember being there, going out, and my very first deal was a wholesale deal. And so I went out, I found a deal at the time for $12,000. And I flipped it a few days later for 15,000. I made 3 grand. Got my first check. So I got my first check. I got my first 3 grand. Then the guy I sold it to put a whole bunch of work into it and sold it for $138,000. So he made a good chunk of money on it, but I got my 3 grand and it changed my life. That's the point. It's a win-win-win. That's how the good deals work, right? I didn't get one over on the seller. He needed it gone. I gave him a reasonable price for the very rough house it was. I gave the flipper a great deal, extremely good deal, and he was able to go in and turn it to a huge profit for himself. And he did the majority of the work, of course. So when it comes to finding ways to get the money, we of course can acquire or contract our own deals, as some of you have and are. And I want to describe this to you, what happens when we go to get the money on a, specifically today, I'm talking about a wholesale deal. And tomorrow we're back to the lease options, our favorite. So when it comes to getting money on a wholesale deal, our objective is to find a buyer. So write this down. Number one, a landlord will usually pay the most because they're looking for a return over time. So a local landlord. Or number two, a fix and flipper. They're going to usually pay a little less because they want a quick turn and they got to make sure they have room for the profit after they rehab. So think of this from both perspectives. Some of you have houses and you're going to get some nuggets to go find buyers and turn them to cash, or you have contracts. Some of you are going, I'm still trying to get my first deal. Aha, maybe here's a way I could add value to somebody else on the call who has houses that they need sold. So we go out, we find a buyer, we find a landlord, we find a flipper, we find someone who needs a property to either rent or to flip. And they're going to pay us, which many of you have met Jordan, and going to be talking more about him, one of our private lenders. But that's where we go get the money. Someone goes and gets the money and buys the property from us for that profit. So it's very important that you begin to see the profit centers in this business. Our main objective, buy on terms, sell on lease option, buy slow. We're always shooting for that first. And then sometimes we find a deal and it's junky and it's quick cash deal. We go turn that to a cash payday. Because just because we want to build portfolio and long-term wealth, we don't want to repel the 5, 10, 15, $20,000 payday that is coming at us. Right. So we go find these buyers by number one, write this down, Facebook groups. Number two, networking, local meetups. And number three, softwares and services like Investor Left. Or if you're in Louisville, I think it's called Deals Off Market, where one of the local realtors has thousands of buyers and he takes $2,000 fee if you put it on his platform and a cash buyer buys it. So remember, our point is to not get caught down in the weeds per se of the thing, right? Our objective is to find these assets and to turn them to cash. And whatever that path needs to look like to turn that to cash is going to be key. So, for those of you who have deals or you're helping someone move a deal, maybe you've partnered with them. Let's say, for example, that Leo just contracted a deal because he's really good at buying houses, but he's busy. He's on Zoom every day, hanging out with 100 other cool people. So he says, I don't have time to go find my buyer. And let's say that Christy says, you know what, Leo, I know you have a deal on Main Street that is worth $100,000 and you're wanting 50,000 quick cash for it. I know landlords, or I'm going to find landlords who want to buy the house in that area. So Leo says, cool, I got it contracted for, or I'm going to sell it for 50. I contracted it for 30. I'll tell you what, Christy, you can have 10 and I'll have 10. You go find the buyer. I brought the deal. Boom. Both of you get 10 grand. Leo can go pursue the next deal to contract while Christy, you go sell it and get your check and get good at dispo because you're going to need that skill anyway. So I want to go a little deeper on that. But before I do, Leo, you want to jump in here and re-explain what I just discussed.
I can do that. I think always going down back to the basics of what does GTFM mean, which is get the freaking money. And some people are like, oh, that's what it means. So with actually getting to the place where a check lands in your mailbox, some of you guys have done deals before and some of you guys have not. Those of you who have not seen the actual, what we call like a shut up check where it's like, okay, this works. This works. This makes sense. I could do this business and I can use that to put into marketing to keep the funnel rolling and money's going to keep coming in. I can, as long as I keep going and build the systems and I'll keep making more money. So we start to understand that this business can actually work for us. So then how do we get there? Going back to the absolute basics, getting the leads, that's out of the way, making the phone calls. Those things happen all the time. Getting the leads and making the phone calls happen all the time. Now, once you actually have a property, let's say a seller says yes. Seller says yes, it's a no money down deal. And you call Andrew, you say, Andrew, I have this deal. And let's just say, BOFSO students, you're in there. And this is, you pay attention to this one, guys, because when you call Andrew, he closes a deal. Now the contract gets sent. You find a real estate attorney, you find the title company, you find the pieces of the puzzle that actually help you close the deal. Each of those are pieces initially that you have to go find. And that's what Andrew was saying. That's why you go to networking events. That's why you come to our meetup happening in 2 weeks from now. Because
Yeah.
at the event, you'll find private money. You'll meet one of the greatest real estate attorneys. You'll meet some of these buyers and people who can find other buyers. So once you actually have a property, you've closed it now. You closed it with no money down. Now you have this property and you have to find someone to be in the property. Or if you choose to wholesale it before you close it, and I'll step back a little bit because some of you want to just wholesale the properties and you don't want to actually purchase it for yourself. You don't want to actually own it. So in that time, it's even simpler sometimes because before you even close the property, you go find a flipper, you go find one of those HGTV guys who are absolutely looked upon for being flippers. You go find a flipper and you say, hey, I have this property that I found because I did the work. I did the work to find this property. It's gold because here's the thing. If you go ahead and flip it and you put 20, 30, 40, $50,000 into it, you'll make a 3, 4x return. That's what flippers do. When they put it on the market, they go get a big return. We don't want to do flips. Me and Andrew don't do flips. Andrew's done multiple flips and he says no
Retired from that.
flip. So
Retired, baby.
in that process, what you can do is you can find a flipper who wants to take this property and flip it, and they'll pay you a wholesale fee. And this wholesale fee, you can create the range of how much you want it to be. It has to make sense, but you can create the range. That's why people can make 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 wholesale fees. And some people just create that as a business model. But why do
Absolutely.
we do Bosflow? Why do we do Bofso, Andrew? Why don't you explain why do we choose to go with the Bofso method, and why do so many of our students choose to do the Bofso method? What is the long-term vision? But also, what can we do? We pitch terms first, right? What is the mindset
Yeah,
here? Tell us.
absolutely. So there's two very good points I want to make here, and you can write this down. Now money and later money. If I had a gun to my head and I had to go create 100K in revenue in the next 30 days or I died, I would not focus on boss flow. I would go wholesale the living daylights out of properties. I'd go get me a 10K, a 20K, a 30K, a 10K. I'd go day and night dialing these crappy properties and flipping. Why? Because that is now money. It's a hustle, right? You get a deal done, you find a buyer, you close the deal, and you learn to still think creatively, right? But then you flip it and you still focus on the creative deals. But when you know I need now money, be okay with creating some now money if that's what's needed. All right. So our objective is to give you the tools, to give you the ability to be able to go out and create your wealth, your cash flowing portfolio, because that's where the real wealth is. Because there's three paydays. You get the payday the day your tenant moves in, you get the cash flow every single month for months or years. And then if and when they buy and cash you out, years down the line, you get another big, beautiful payday. So very important to keep in mind. Now, here's comes back to the mindset of tenacity and growth and never giving up. And the reason I wanted to talk about the wholesale deal, because if I'm you, and this is gold, I hope you guys are taking some massive notes right here. Because if you're needing money, I would so do this. Jordan Pone, he's been on here. That's why I keep referring to him. He's been on this 60 days, and he was on the podcast. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out on the YouTube. Jordan has a ton of people who he's qualified to borrow money from him to flip a property. These guys do flip properties for whatever reason, don't focus on boss flow, maybe don't know how, or whatever various reason they have. And then he has them sitting there wanting deals. So back to my gun to my head scenario, I would go freaking dial the heck out of Facebook crappy houses. I would call Jordan and I would say, hey, what are your buyers looking for? I'm going to dial every single crappy house and mail letters. I'm going to go use Deal Machine and send letters out. I'm going to call people. I'm going to cold call. I'm going to do everything I can to contract as many crappy houses as I can to go feed your buyers. Because if I can contract them at 50 and flip them for 60 or 60 and flip them for 70 or 80, it doesn't take very many of those to add up. Now, again, the reason we focus on boss flow, because that's a hustle. I'm okay with that hustle if that's what you need to put cash in your pocket. But as soon as possible, I want to get you back to the terms business where you're building wealth. You can, of course, negotiate great terms on a deal and assign that to an investor. You can go ahead and wholesale a deal that you've agreed to make payments on. And when possible, we love to keep them because I want you to get paid The day you put your tenant buyer in, I want you to get paid every single month, and I want you to get paid when they cash you out. And in the meantime, get all the tax benefits that goes along with it. Because, write this down, build my snowball. This is where it gets exciting. Because if I wholesale a deal this month for 50K, like Craig and Rich just did a few weeks ago, 50K, next month I'm going to go get the next 50K, right? But if I get a terms deal this month, even if it's only 20 or 30K and a monthly payment, and then next month I do another one, after 12 months, I've got 12 cash flowing assets sitting there paying me every month. And now I have the chance for 12 new paydays when they go cash me out. And so you can build your snowball so much more effectively if you ensure that you're filling that coffer with repetitive paydays. The difference between a constant hustle that pays well, so it's a great tool in your tool belt, and a business that can build a legacy and wealth for a lifetime. So, something that happened at the last 3 day event that I want to share with you, and this is going to be some more cool notes you're going to want to take. And this comes back to thinking, how do I put deals together? Because you are a matchmaker. And Paul, if you could go ahead and put that link with the code in the chat, you are a matchmaker. So I want you to think of yourself as that way. You're a matchmaker. You're finding sellers who need a solution. You're solving their challenge. And through that, you're either contracting the deal and wholesaling it, or most preferably buying it, accepting ownership of the property, and agreeing to make payments. And so after you do that thing, now your objective is to go find somebody else over here, a flipper or a landlord who has a problem. They need cheap cash deals. That's where the wholesale business comes in. Or a person over here who can't qualify for a mortgage yet, who wants to lease option a beautiful home. Boom. And you connect them and put them in. You are a matchmaker, a highly paid matchmaker, but a matchmaker. And so at the last event, someone who may be on here, let's see on the first page, but there's three more. So someone, one of our mastermind members at the last event closed on a house at the last 3 day event. At that event was the lender who funded the closing, because this mastermind member still fix and flips. He will soon retire from that. Chris, if you're listening. And he still fix and flips. The private lender funded, who was at the event, funded it. And the attorney who was at the event oversaw and handled the closing. So a deal is put together by a master matchmaker in our Freedom Life community, all at this 3 day event. What can happen in 50 hours of dialing can happen in 50 minutes when you have a highly concentrated group of incredible people. So I know many of you already have your tickets to the event. I want to make sure that you see in the chat there, you can still get a massive discount on your tickets. If you've not got them yet, you should go grab those before the price goes up again and before it's full. So make sure you've got your tickets to the upcoming event, October 14, 15, and 16. I'm about to take some questions, but before I do, what else should have I mentioned about the event I didn't yet?
The event is really what we've seen from the people who have come, from the people who have done multiple deals. It is the breakthrough moment. And we've asked ourselves so many times, like, why is it the breakthrough? Why is it that when you spend 3 days and you go to a different location, into a place that we're uncomfortable, we might not be comfortable with, unless the Louisvillians, we have a lot of Louisvillians coming, but the people who are coming from out of town and going to Louisville, being in this place where they're surrounded by other people who think like them, why is it such a life-changing dynamic there? It's because when your brain is in a new environment, now you start to learn differently. Because same thing, if we bring our softwares of our brains back when, it's the same brains from thousands of years ago, whenever they had to explore into different lands, they start to see a whole different place that they had to explore. Okay, and I want to take that back to right now, because every day, if we're sitting in the same place, in the same desk, in the same office, looking at the same screen and trying to learn, it sometimes doesn't work that way. Sometimes we have to go somewhere and be around people who actually want to lift us up and be around people who are in the same zone as us rather. Because in 2020, we lost touch with so much of that, of connecting with people, of actually, hey, how are you? Or hugging, those type of things. As you see the event, there's a lot of love, a lot of hugging, a lot of teaching, a lot of energy. And here's the thing, you're not sitting and watching for 3 days straight. It's that we're getting up and we're saying, all right, everybody, here's the best thing that you guys are going to experience. When we're teaching, it's everybody's going to connect with each other. It's called intentional networking. Everybody has to talk to each other, and it helps you break out of your shell and it helps you learn things. And at the event, here's the thing, because we could spend 60 days here and we're gonna continue the rest of these 60 days, and you guys are gonna learn a lot. You're gonna be taking action, making the phone calls. But when you actually invest in yourself to come to the event, that is where we sit down. We say, okay, all right, Melissa, what is your biggest challenge? What is the thing that you've been struggling with for the past 10 years? Let's break out of that now because you have 75 other people who think just like you and who want the same goals as you. And now you're going to watch everybody else support you in that process. And now all of a sudden, it's like, all right, Melissa, let's build a strategy. Because at the event, we build a strategy for you to focus on for the rest of the year. So we don't spend this year doing the same thing we did last year, the same thing we did the year before, and the same thing we did the year before, and continue to stress that our money and our finances are not where they need to be. Our health, our body, our mindset is not where it needs to be. Our relationships, our network, our family is not where it needs to be. So you come to this event, you invest in yourself today, and you actually start to gain that connection all in one. Remember, write it down, target rich environment. You can't find this target rich environment anywhere else. But everybody put in the chat, please, TRE, target rich environment. And when you do this, it can be 3 days where you absolutely transform your life, transform your network, and most importantly, walk away with a strategy and with a different way of seeing things and a different way of talking and a different way of expressing yourself and a different way of communicating with people where your life will never be different. All of our students that are on here, all of our students, please, that have went to the event, type it in the chat, rate it out of 10 in an absolute genuine energy, rate it out of 10, because I want the people who are on the fence to just see what did people think about the event? Because then you could say, okay, I know people went to the because those people that came to the event are gonna be at the next one because it's a recurring process. It's a recurring process. I see people going 10 and above, and I appreciate you all. What I want you guys to do, because we're so confident in this. What I want you guys to do is Paul's gonna put the link in the chat right now. He's going to put the link in the chat. It's live dot truka, truka.com. Use the code 60day. Use the code 60day. And here's the thing. Here's my promise to you. You ready? Here's my promise to you. You're gonna fly to Louisville. You're gonna go look at tickets right now. You're gonna fly to Louisville. You're gonna get your hotel. We have a discount code. You'll see. We have a discount code for the actual hotel. But on the first day, guys, we're going to learn all about the bobsleigh and help you master it after that first day. And you're going to connect with everyone. But after that first day, if you don't think that you got 10x the value that you paid for it on that first day, not even the third day, on the first day, walk to the back of the room. We have our amazing team there and just let them know. Or if you don't want to say it in front of them, you can call them after. And you say, this was not
No, you
worth
can't wimp out.
10x.
You got to tell them in person.
No, we're that call. You can call him. You can call one of us. We have a whole team for this. You can call them that evening in the hotel room. Even on if you want us to fly back home, you can call them and say, this was not worth 10x the value that I paid for it that day. And if it is not, we will send you that money back. We will send you that money
Absolutely.
back. That is how confident we are in this event and in what we teach. So everybody, right now, write it down. Live, Live dot Truka, TRUKA.com. Use code 60day. Use code
August
60day and be
4,
at that event.
August 14, 15, 16. Make your plans now.
There we
We're
go,
gonna have an
guys.
awesome time. You're gonna meet possibly buyers. You're gonna meet maybe your next private lender. All these good things happen when we hang out together with other winners. So that's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Leo, for sharing that. And I just got a text while I'm on here. David and Carmen, I don't know if they're both on here or not, but congratulations in the mastermind. They just got another contract on another deal while on this call. So, way to go, David and Carmen. So, guys, we do this stuff. Leo and I do this stuff. Our team does this stuff. And our community does this stuff. And we want you doing this stuff, building your cash flow. Everything will change when you come hang out with us in person. So make sure you do have your tickets. I want to take questions before we wrap it up. So, what questions do we have today, Paul?
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for your questions. Keep them coming every day. I just a note, make sure you're clicking from the drop down that you're messaging the group chat and not DMing people. Sometimes that can happen with Zoom. And if, of course, if we do miss a question, just you won't be bothering us. Just mention me by name, Paul, in the chat, and I will catch it again. So thank you guys for your questions. Keep them coming. First question today is from Alistair McAllister. Excuse me, Andrew McAllister. My apologies. Andrew says the house you spoke about the other day, where you had put 50K in previously, you said you knew that the team was wrong when they said it needed 40K now, and you ended up getting a new buyer to put 40K down and take on the 238K property with a 5-year term. For you to have it already, you already put 50K in, does that mean it was a lease option that somebody defaulted on, and that's how you got it again?
Yes, it was a lease option. I sold on a lease option once. They chose to move out, had a divorce or a life situation happen. I don't recall what it was. They moved out, and then we had to find another buyer who then moved in, and that was the point at which the story began.
Great question. Next question is also from Andrew. He says, if you don't have a funnel or someone calling your leads, what would be your number one source if you had to pull from somewhere to call sellers? Fizbos, what's the least amount of cash? Zillow, Trulia, and what is your turnover with these cold calling? There's a couple of questions in there, but the first one was around if you don't have a funnel or someone calling your leads, what would be your number one source?
So the first off, I always like inbound leads. So I do, started out with bandit size business cards, anything I could get my hands on that got them calling me, car magnets, all of that. If I had to outbound dial right now and had zero lead budget, I would go to Facebook Marketplace. I would message 20 people a day. Uh, like the video, and Andrew, you can look it up on the YouTube. I done a live actually as well, and it was the, I believe, third day of the 60 days to deals live. So you can go back and rewatch that. We go online, we message 20 people a day. On average, 10 messages back a phone number, and that usually leads to 5 to 7 conversations a day. It's about a 1 hour to hour and a half process every single day.
All right, and I know Andrew would also ask, what's your current, what is your turnover with with these cold calling?
I don't understand that question. If you're talking about our team, I do not do cold calls. I have inbound leads. We spend thousands of dollars every single month getting sellers to call us. And then our acquisitionist team, Ahmed and Derek, lead up outbound dialing to Facebook Marketplace and those other items as well. But as far as like cold calling by the thousands, we don't do that in house. I have a third party team. Nick is his name, and their team does it. But again, that's back to investing some money into it.
All right. Next comment here is from MRT Properties. He said, I have 2 houses that I plan to make long-term rentals. I will be interested in doing lease option. I always think it's interesting when folks have doors and they don't know that they can take away the cost of maintenance, repairs, taxes, insurance, and turn it into a lease option. So any comments on that one, Andrew?
Heck yeah. I love lease options. I'm sold on lease options, and probably a third of the people who come into our community already own assets, and they are adjusting their strategies. So two-thirds, of course, would be in the other basket. So definitely would just pick up. The first half of acquiring on terms is definitely a tool you want in your tool belt. But when it comes to selling on lease option, 150%. We love to sell on lease option when the tenant's either in there. A, we convert them to lease option if possible. If not, B, once they move out, then we of course find a new tenant buyer to put in.
All right. Justin asks, what do you mean by early, or is there a way in before 3 p.m. Eastern? I generally get a silent commercial before 3. And so for that, you can actually unmute that video, Justin. And of course, we do welcome everyone to come early. Within the first 5 minutes, we do drop some bonus content. So definitely get on time. And we have a question from Octavia, and she says, what is the Boff Slow method?
Yes, and I'll speak to that, Justin. So definitely hit the unmute button when all you come in and see that amazing video of them two awesome guys, me and Leo, if you missed it. Uh, when you see that video, just hit that little unmute button in the right bottom corner and make sure you're listening to that video because it's really cool. Our team put a lot of work into it, and I'm proud of it. So I watch it when I log in and wait for my team to let us in. The on time, when we was referring to early, it would be just making sure you're there at 3 p.m. Eastern because we immediately let all of you beautiful people in at 3 p.m. Eastern on the dot. On Boslo, it's buy on or finance, which buy on terms means we agree to make the seller or cover their debt or make the seller payments until we pay them off in full. Flow, Boslo, buy on or finance, sell on lease option. Everything we buy, almost without exception, gets sold on lease option.
All right. Well, I know we are quite over time here, so I'm saving some questions that were not asked today, but keep them coming every day, folks. We love your questions, and thank you all for joining today.
Absolutely. Tomorrow is a jam-packed, high-energy, exciting Saturday, so make sure you're back here. It's going to be a fun time. And also, several more of you, I believe, should have gotten your free gifts for the thank you for all of you who gave us the 5-star ratings. And so several more of you should have your mug. So make sure tomorrow you're drinking a coffee or a tea or a water out of your beautiful mug so you can hold it up when we're all holding up our drinks because we love to see those beautiful gifts that you're getting. All right, guys, sending you lots of excitement, and we'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time.
Absolutely. Congrats to all the new Boston students and everyone who got a True Good ticket. We'll see you all very
Absolutely.
soon. All right.
Bye for now.
Bye.